I am Nagaraj CG from Mysuru. I worked as a PGT or postgraduate teacher in biology in a school named Demonstration Multipurpose School, which is attached to the Regional College of Education, where we prepare teachers for secondary schools for the 4 states of Karnataka. Today, I'll be having a small discussion with you on the topic called Biology in Human Welfare, and the first lesson, Common Diseases in Humans. In this particular chapter 8, you have 5 important areas to learn. Common diseases in human, today we are going to discuss on that. Immunity, AIDS, cancer, drugs, and alcohol. This will be taken up in the here. Common diseases in humans. It is so common that we will be able to think of many diseases. When you think of common diseases, diseases like cough, cold, fever, headache, all these are very common diseases, including some of the diseases transmitted by parasites, which are called pathogens. It may be small microorganisms like malarial parasite, or it may be virus, or even it may be fungus. And you should know how to avoid these diseases. Of course, you have been now in a position to practice to avoid the spread of COVID-19 by wearing the mask. That we have to think in the same way for other diseases also. History of human health. That means ever since man's knowledge expanded to take care of his own welfare and happiness, he started thinking about diseases. Earlier, Greeks, who were known as philosophers and great thinkers, thought that small factors in our body, they called it humors, which I'm showing it here, humors. It may not have any meaning for us, but it simply means the disease causing factors. And the Indian earlier philosophers also felt that we have what's called black bile that is responsible for diseases. So like this, some of the thoughts were very reflective. They were able to think and then feel that that may be the cause of the disease, may be factors from outside, but that point was very clear. It is William Harvey, an English scientist, first disproved both the reflective thoughts, that is, Greek's thought and the Indian Ayurvedic thought were dismissed, and he showed and he described circulation of blood in humans, and then he argued that the pathogens or infective agents are responsible for human diseases, especially our we may feel at disease. That means when you are not at ease, it's called disease. It may be mental state, purely anxiety, stress. All this might cause the disease in us. It may not be originated by infectious agents, but our mind and our brain might think in different ways and may cause some discomfort in our living. Even that is also a kind of a disease. Thinking influences our thinking. Maybe when we think that is not very good, when sometimes thinking goes beyond our control, and all these things would influence health. When health is, when you are not healthy, that means when you are not having normal living, without any pain, without any anxiety, without any discomfort, then you said to be in the condition of health. So that is the idea of health. Even the mind influences the neural system. Our thought, our thinking, all will put a load on the neurons and the nervous system, which in turn either will produce excessive hormones from endocrine system, or they may not produce hormones at all. They may produce one more, one less. Like that, the balance inside the body will be lost. That means to say, the homeostasis, the internal balance will be lost because of the stress of the mind, and then also our health will be upset. We call such a thing where we are not stable in our thinking, we are not happy in our thinking. When we are not smiling for little things, then we are said to be out of our health conditions. Now, most common diseases are caused by pathogens. The word pathos refers to the disease, and gen means producing. So disease producing agents are called pathogens. Now these pathogens are mostly microscopic in nature. They may be plant origin, they may be animal origin, or they may be protozoans, very small ones. And normally we use the word pathogen for the biotic agents. That means agents that are living and cause human diseases. Exception is virus. Virus is not living when it is outside the host or human body or any animal. It only becomes active and starts replicating when it is inside the host. Host may be a plant, animal, or man, anything. So, but some of the other important agents which cause disease are, one is called, very common thing called Entamoeba histolytica. This lives inside the intestine of man, and that causes what's called amoebiasis. It's a kind of a stomach ache and discomfort in the intestine, and then there will be kind of a loose motion called dysentery, and that kind of discomfort is very common to people, and that will come because of the contaminated food, and the agent is called Entamoeba histolytica. Ascaris is another one, Ascaris lumbricoides. This is very common in very young children. When young children eat quite a number of sweets and they don't clean their stools and other things properly, when they do not go for nature's call, then Ascaris worm will infest the intestine, and especially inside the rectum of the intestine, and cause lot of problems to young children, and that is also a common disease in the young children. Wucheria is another disease producing organism that belongs to a group of small organisms, animals, and this is mostly present in the especially in the area who live in the coastal regions. When this parasite attacks the human beings, it will lodge in the legs or hands, and especially limbs or even the neck. These are the areas, and they block the lymph fluid, and the legs or hands or neck becomes swollen like the legs of an elephant sometimes, and therefore it's called elephantiasis. This is also a most common disease. Many fungi belong to group of plants. They cause ringworms and they cause skin diseases. You know, there are hundreds of skin diseases. You will get allergy for many things. So all these are again pathogens which will cause lot of discomfort to our living. Now it is very important to avoid whether it is the very microscopic organism, or whether it is a little larger organism to causing the disease, or it may be a plant oriented, or it may be it may be virus oriented. You should try to maintain our personal health. So when I say personal health, your own body, especially mouth, is one area where many pathogens will enter. We have to keep our, we have to clean our teeth, clean our tongue, and take care of our oral hygiene every day, maybe 2 times in a day, before you get up and drink milk or coffee, and before you go to bed, you should do that. And the public hygiene is the one where your surroundings, your own money, your own home, your own table, your own reading area, or your own eating area, your toilets, your bathroom should be clean, and so that you don't get any infection from the pathogens. Normally, pathogens live in those areas, and those areas are dirty areas, and where they live, microbes love such area. And to prevent such kind of attack of the microbes for you, you should control you should control your personal habits. By controlling your personal habits, you can control many diseases which are infectious. When you say infectious disease caused by pathogens which are transmitted from one human being to other human being. You saw the example of COVID-19, how furious it was, and that is the type of a infection that happens when the pathogens attack us. You must have clean food. That means you should not eat dirty food. You should not eat wherever you want to eat. You should select your places of eating. Home is one area where clean food is given to you. You must have a clean air. Normally, people should not breathe in the air which contains a lot of smoke, or people who are smoking, like hotels and pubs. We should not go there. You must have clean clothes. At least every day you must change your clothes. Your inner clothes and the inner garments need to be washed every day with good soap, and you must keep it clean. And we should not have the habit of drinking alcohol. This especially refers to children like you who are in the teens. You will be getting into good or bad habits. Some of the bad habits will be maybe beer drinking, and that is to be avoided at this age. And smoking is another important activity that people like to do for social purpose. Please avoid smoking so that you should avoid all the infection that is coming to your lungs. Now, the advancement of biological science and the medical science and other sciences have armed us, have given us a lot of scope where we can effectively control many diseases which are of great danger to human society. Now, health is affected by genetic disorders. Genetic disorder refers to the deficiencies with which a child is born. At the birth itself, the newborn baby may have some genetic disorders. That means maybe chromosomal disorder, chromosome might have broken, chromosome might have added something else with that. So that kind of genetic disorder will be there. Example, children will not have mental balance, children will not have control over their fingers, children will not have the muscle control, they will not remember. All these are examples of genetic disorders. Color blindness is another example of the genetic disorder. These things are difficult to overcome. However, the infections caused by pathogens, I told you pathogens may be microbes, there may be other larger animals, even dog bite sometimes will produce you a disease and called rabies. So though dog is not responsible, but via dog bite you will get the disease called rabies and mad dog bite especially. So you must be careful about the infectious disease caused by pathogens. That's why you have to keep your hands and everything clean. Your lifestyle, as a young student, you should know how to have clean and good food. You may be coming from college with a small amount of food given by your mother or your family members. Eat that. Going to a canteen nearby, you must select the canteen. You should not eat the food supplied from the footpaths, because though it is clean, but the dust may contain large amount of pathogens. Pathogens are free to travel in the air. They will not be seen. They're invisible. They don't require passport to attack you. They don't require your permission to attack you, but they will travel and infect you. The water we take also should be clean and good. Don't take water from the source where you know it is not very clean and safe. So try to drink safe water. Rest is required. Supposing you are a young man and you are interested in a movie or a cinema or something, you start seeing the movie until 1 o'clock in the night or 2 o'clock in the night and play games in the computer, and next day morning you will not be having enough rest to get up, and that will cause again a kind of a unrest in you. That is a condition of a disorder or disease. If you don't have enough exercise also, will cause discomfort to our body. So our bodies, our habits, that we have to take care by doing good practices. You should know what are good practices. What is meant by health of humans? What do you mean by healthy humans? Healthy humans are those who will always show a smile on their face, who will take things quite easy, who will do exercises, who will get up early, they will go to bed early, they have good practices, and they don't have any diseases. Such people are said to be having good health. You must practice that. Both physical strain and stress, mental strain and stress, social stress. If you are not a good friend to somebody, and if you don't adjust yourself in a group, if you keep getting angry for small things, and if you stress yourself for many things, then your social well-being is lost. So both physical, mental, and social well-being necessary for you to be healthy. This is the word this ease means you are not at ease, meaning you have got a disease of something. It may be a mental, it may be physical, it may be infectious. Sometimes uh, something goes wrong, then we will lose our balance. That's also a kind of a disorder of our own system, and that's a disease. Good practices help to maintain health. Now try to understand what are good practices. Try to list them maybe in your piece of paper. Now diseases can be classified into two groups. One is called infectious disease. Second is called non-infectious disease. Infectious disease is caused by pathogens. When once a person gets a disease spreads in his own body to different parts. Diseases are very specific in their attack. Some disease will be attacked only to the intestine, some will be to the liver, some attack will be on the respiratory system, some to the brain, some to the nervous system. Like that, very specific pathogens will attack specific parts. If the infection is very serious, then it can be transmitted from person to person. And there are diseases called non-infectious disease that happens in our body. For example, sometimes you may fall down and break your leg, and then you will not be able to move. That is also a kind of a unhealthy condition. And you may have some elderly people may have diabetes due to deficiency of a hormone produced by pancreas. That is also a kind of disease. Anemia is another disease which is not transmitted from human to human, but that is also dangerous. So you must know what are infectious, what are non-infectious diseases. Abuse of anything, abuse of water even. If you drink more water, or if you eat more food, or if you do more exercise, if you sleep late, if you don't have much sleep, all this will induce ill health in us. Pathogens or disease producing agents. They may be very small, microscopic in nature. They may be viruses. They may be parasites from other organisms like malarial parasite, that is an animal parasite. One example for animal parasite, which is very common in our community, in the population of human beings, is a disease called typhoid. Typhoid is a fever that develops due to the attack of a microbe called Salmonella typhi. That is the name of the organism. That is a bacteria that infects our intestine and disturbs the balance of intestine, and then we will get loose motion and vomiting, and people will have high fever. It may lead even to fatal conditions. Normally, typhoid patients are tested by a test called Weidel test. That is very common nowadays. If you get any symptoms of loose motion and stomach pain and vomiting, don't neglect. Try to get a test made for your typhoid thing. Of course, typhoid has gone very low nowadays. It is not there, but it may attack any time. Haemophilus influenzae is another virus that attacks the lungs and causes what's called pneumonia. Pneumonia is a very common disease in the especially cold seasons. It comes via the pathogens come via the air, and somebody sneezes or somebody touches something having the influenza. If you touch that one, that is enough, and you touch your nose, you get your pneumonia. So it will cause the inflammation of the lungs, and lungs will be non-functional, and then you get problem of respiration. Then rhinovirus is another common cold virus that is very common in the cold days, December, January, and these months, where the spread is community level. If one man in the family gets a cough, almost everyone gets a cough sometimes. Sometimes doctors say it is good if you get cold for some time, you get resistance. So therefore, both the good and bad effect of the disease is there. You must select which is good for you, which is bad for you. Plasmodium is another very common disease which causes what's called malaria. Malaria is a very common disease in the African countries, especially in the Malnad area in our country. Plasmodium is a kind of a parasite, animal parasite that lives in human beings and also in the Anopheles mosquito. We shall look into that. Now, I told you about malaria. Malaria refers to a condition where we become weak and we get chills every 3 months, or every 3 days, or every 1 week, or even every day, many times, very bad chill, and followed by fever, and you'll be completely tired. That's called malaria. Malaria is caused by a pathogen called Plasmodium vivax that enters the human body as a sporozoite. Sporozoite refers to a kind of a small infectious condition, infectious form of the Plasmodium, very small. When a mosquito bites you, female mosquito bites you, that will inject into your body sporozoites, and the sporozoites go through the bloodstream into, they lodge in the liver. In the liver, they will multiply in great numbers. They attack the liver cells and they attack the red blood cells in the liver, and then red blood cells will rupture. When the red blood cells rupture, then we get chills. The rupturing of the red blood cell is due to a toxic or a poisonous material produced by the plasmodium that's called hemozoin, and that is responsible for chill and high fever. So if you feel the chill condition continuously for 4 or 5 days, try to get your blood tested for malarial parasite. Of course, nowadays malaria is not seen in the community. This is the old story we are writing. Today, the most dangerous disease is the COVID-19 pneumonia. Be careful about it and try to avoid. The cycle is given here, shown here. I have shown you the malarial parasite cycle just for information purpose. Female Anopheles mosquito bites the person who is infected. When it bites, along with its saliva, it sucks the blood of the human being containing infection, and then that particular parasite multiplies in the body of the female Anopheles mosquito, and they will produce in great numbers, and they are the sporozoites. And then again, that mosquito bites a uh, healthy individual once again. The sporozoites are injected, and the cycle continues. So, malarial parasite or plasmodium has two hosts or two animals to live in to complete their life cycle. Then ask a question to you: how many hosts are there for malaria? Host number one is female Anopheles mosquito. From there, it is transmitted to human beings. That is the second host. In both the cases, they will multiply in numbers and they will be spread by infecting the blood by means of injecting infected saliva and taking back infected blood to the other humans. Now, life cycle of Plasmodium is shown here. This is the figure that indicating this person has malaria. His liver cells are completely damaged here, and liver cells are damaged and they are broken. Red blood cells are broken. Hemoglobin is broken due to the action of the toxin produced by the the malarial parasite. And then this is one cycle that is in the human beings. When the female Anopheles mosquito bites a person, it sucks this infected blood inside the gut of the malarial parasite. Again, the life cycle continues. They will produce in more numbers, and once again they inject into the human blood. So this is how malarial parasite continues to live and cause malaria in the human. The same diagram is shown in your textbook. I hope you can see very clearly. One part is a part where larger amount of life cycle changes will happen inside the liver of the human beings. The second part is shown here. This happens inside the gut or the salivary glands of the malarial parasite, that is the Plasmodium female Anopheles mosquito. So these two means there are two hosts for malarial parasite to complete its life cycle. I would like to acknowledge my gratefulness to NCERT for using their textbooks for class 12 to produce this clip. I've taken a photo from the Common Creative web-based images. NPTEL is a community where uh, they help the teachers to upgrade their content. I've taken some information from them. Of course, YouTube help you and me to learn all these things. Try to answer all the questions given in your textbook at the end of the chapter, and then you try to uh, re-listen to my talk. If it is useful to you, then try to answer all the questions given in the chapter 8.1. This completes 8.1 Common Human Infectious Diseases. Thank you.